Hey guys, I'm Jacqueline.
I'm Marcella.
And we're here with a book review. We haven't done one of these in a long time, but we definitely want to start doing more book reviews. I feel like we say that in like every book
we say
video.
that a lot, but we
but
mean
like for real this time.
We mean it this time. Yeah, but before we get started, we wanted to show you these shirts that we're wearing. So that one says "Do You Dare" from Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, and this is Pemberley.
Yes. If you guys don't know, we have a family shop that we are running. It's called Rig's Cozy Corner, and basically,
on Etsy.
Yeah, it's an Etsy shop, and there's also an Instagram, Facebook, and all that. All the links will be down below. But basically, we're selling like book merch, we're selling fandom merch. There's a Lucifer sweatshirt, there's a Supernatural sweatshirt, there's Vampire Diaries,
there's some Christmas stuff on there, ornaments,
Christmas stuff, there's everything that
everything,
you can think.
mugs, pillows, hoodies, these crew necks,
cookies. We're also selling cookies for the holidays. But yeah, we have free shipping going on right now, so you guys really should check it out. We are obsessed with everything there. From that shop, we are literally have things coming in the mail because we love it so much. And
you could also check out our video that we did where we show some of the stuff.
We have a lot of Outlander, and then obviously we have a lot of Pride and Prejudice, like Jane Austen. There's a lot of like romance book stuff.
Lucifer and Supernatural shirts, which are awesome.
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries.
Yes. There's a lot of stuff in there, and we highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah, we think you guys would really enjoy it.
So, the book that we want to talk to you guys about, we just, like, you guys have to read this book.
This is a very recent read. Like, we read this, I think, last weekend it was, or like last week.
Over the weekend, yeah.
Yeah, it was very recent, and guys,
we read this together. We, like, buddy read this, and
yeah,
it was
she would just mention, you were like, I'm reading this book, and it's terrifying, and she told me what it was about, and I was like, you know what? I haven't read, like, a thriller, like, book like that in a while, so, like, okay. And oh my gosh, like we were texting like basically the whole time we were reading it, like,
because we read it in one sitting, one night. Literally, we finished it at 3 a.m. Like it was like one night.
The book takes place in like 7 hours, so it's very fast paced, very suspenseful. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's about this young woman, Darby, and she's traveling to see her mother during like the holidays. It's a few days before Christmas.
She's a college student, so she like just leaves school, and
and her mother is sick, so she's traveling to see her. And she's not like the best person, Darby. She's made a lot of mistakes. She doesn't have the best relationship with her mother, but she's traveling there because her mother's sick. She ends up stopping at a rest stop, and the storm is so bad where she gets blizzard. She gets snowed in there, so she's basically just there with 4 other people who are in the same kind of situation. Everybody's just stuck there.
Everyone's snowed in at a rest stop in the middle of nowhere. She ends up going outside trying to get service to contact her mom and see what was going on. And she ends up walking past one of the vans that are parked out there that belong to one of the people in the rest stop. And she sees a hand of a child. And there's this child in a cage, like a dog crate, in the van. So she's basically a witness to a kidnapping going on, an active kidnapping, and she has to figure out what to do with that information, if she should figure out who it is, if she should like tell somebody in there, but she can't trust anybody. She can't trust anyone because you don't know who it is, whose van that is.
So it's very like,
she's also like,
scary.
There's no service, her phone's like dying. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah, throughout the whole book it's like, oh, I'm on 5%, I'm on 2%, I'm on 1%, as she's trying to like contact the police.
And she couldn't get a signal for 911, so there's no way of contacting these people. And she's basically stuck overnight, snowed in the night before Christmas Eve with somebody who's involved, a kidnapper, and
doesn't know who other people who are innocent bystanders like her.
And they have to wait till about like 6 a.m., 5 a.m. when the snow trucks are supposed to be coming. And then every once in a while the radio will like kick in like all staticky and like let them know like how bad it is. And it's like a blizzard. Like I think this book takes place like on like a mountain or something. Like it's the middle of nowhere, this rest stop.
It's the middle of nowhere.
It's like off the highway, and it was so intense, you guys. So
she's basically trying to figure out whose car that is, who it belongs to, and then it just spirals from there. It gets so action-packed, so crazy, wild. Like I've never read a book that like insane.
Yeah, and we're not really like, we're not typically like,
we don't really read like thrillers like that. Like back in the day, we enjoyed like horror books. Like we loved like Goosebumps and R.L. Stine, like Fear Street, like stuff like that. Like we did enjoy, like we like scary stuff. We really do, like horror movies and all that. But we mostly read like romance types of books. Like I think I've read only like a handful of thrillers like ever. But like now I really want to read more.
Yeah, I literally went on my Kindle after I read this and I was like downloading thriller books. So I was like, that
you need all the thrillers.
I literally like after I finished this book, I was on like a high. Like it was, I felt like I had adrenaline after reading this book because of everything that happened. And like once it ends, like I finished it and I was just like, wow. Like, wow, like that all just happened. Like that was insane. That was crazy. And I was like so like pumped up. I was like, I had like a rush.
It would be such a great movie. Like I really feel like this would be a phenomenal movie.
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
It reads like a movie. Like it literally, like you open the book and from page 1 you're just like
I feel like it's such a great idea too for a movie.
It's
like there's
so
nothing really
good.
out there like that.
And it's just such a, because it takes place in one night, there's no like chapters. Like the chapters just go by like the time of night it is. So you know, like in the back of your head, like we're leading up to like what is gonna happen at 6 a.m. when the snow plowed trucks like get there and what is gonna happen. And
that's basically what you're trying to get to, is you're trying to get to the point where she can contact somebody for help, and it's just so many obstacles that get in her way throughout that. And like it's so dangerous and so scary,
action packed. Like you guys, there's so much action in this book and it's insane. And like there was a point of the book, I think it was around like the 80% mark, where I literally texted Marcella and I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, I can't finish
I was always like about like maybe
like,
I was maybe like 10% behind you the whole time. So she's freaking out. And then
I was like freaking out. I'm like, I can't do this. And I was so close to just throwing my Kindle because I was so upset about what was happening. And the anxiety that I felt reading this book was just,
but it was so, like reading, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was so much fun to binge it. Like I literally,
I'm so happy I read it with Marcella.
Yeah, like because I feel like I wouldn't I feel like I wouldn't even be able to like I need, like that's the kind of book that you need to freak out about with somebody. Yeah, I literally sat there and I started it and I did not get up from the couch until I was done. Like it was literally like I sat there for like 4 or 5 hours and just read it straight, because it's a hard book to stop because it takes place in one night. So it's like you want to just know how it ends. Yeah, because it's literally counting down the hours. You want to just know.
Yeah, and when you think, like, you know what's going to happen, you don't.
No,
like,
there's a lot of twists. It's hard. It's a very unpredictable book. Like, you can't figure out what's gonna happen. Like,
because when you think you know, you don't know. No. Like, the first, like, jaw-dropping moment, I really didn't see coming. I think you had, like, a hint of it. Like, you kind of had, like, an idea of it.
I had an idea of it, not completely. I knew it'll, like, I was like halfway there, and you were just like, "Whoa!"
I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't see that happening at all. But yeah, it's a great book. We are gonna go into spoilers because we do need to gush about this book and talk about all of the twists and all of the turns. So this is where you guys, if you have not read it, you need to turn this off because you don't want to be spoiled.
Because you will not regret it. You will be scared reading it.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Be, like, your heart will be pounding, but it's a really, really great read.
It's really great. You'll finish it in a few hours. Like, go download it on your Kindle, go buy it at the bookstore, whatever. It's a great book. Definitely stop this video because you don't want to get spoiled. You will not have the same experience if you continue watching this video.
This is the kind of book where you want to be spoiled.
You don't want to be spoiled. I mean, yeah, no, you don't want to be spoiled because it'll ruin all those jaw-dropping, like the anxiety-filled moments if you know how exactly it's going to end. And yeah, so go read it.
We're gonna go into some spoilers now.
So goodbye if you are going to read it. Enjoy, and then you can come back and then you can talk about all of, like, we're here for you to talk about all of the twists and all of the turns because holy crap, this book, you guys. So listen, now we're back into some spoilers. So now we have to talk all about the twists and the turns of this book.
I feel like, okay, your first impressions, who did you think it was? I feel like I thought that it was who it was.
So it's funny because at first I thought Lars was going to be I thought that was too obvious. I thought it was
because he kind of fit that category, had like that kind of look. So I thought it was actually going to be what was his name?
Ashley. He has like this moment where he like talks about like murder mysteries or something. It's always the nice guy, and that it's true. Like that is who you go for.
I feel like
first.
it was gonna be him, or
so that's I never back and forth.
I never thought it was Ed and Sandy. I thought that would have been. I don't know, I just didn't think that it was them.
I didn't think it was them either. I didn't think it was Ed in particular, because he already had like this story about being like a vet or something, like retired, and he had like this story about being like an alcoholic, and I don't know, like I didn't think it was him. But Lars, I felt like was the obvious choice, and then you find out like yes, it is him, because
I like the twist though of that it was Lars, but it was also Ashley.
Yeah, it was Ashley too.
I kind of figured out a little bit before that he was involved, because I just felt like he couldn't be doing, like there has to be more, like there's no way that like she could trust everybody in here. I knew one of them was working with her, and it made the most sense that it was him, because the other two were like cousins.
Well, I was expecting it to go like a different way. Like I was expecting it, like when she goes in the bathroom and she chooses Ashley, like okay, like I know it's Lars, like confirmed, but this guy seems really nice, and he's just talking about magic and playing card tricks, and he's playing cards with everybody. He's super friendly. So she thinks it's him. Like she thinks like, okay, I could trust him. So she goes to the bathroom with him, and he's also like around her age too. So I think that's what also kind of got her, because I think when you're like in college, like you probably like, even now, like I can't imagine that there's somebody so evil that would do something like that. That's my age. But it's true, like they are. And I think it's kind of, you're also, your instinct to trust somebody who is your age, kind of, because you can kind of like bond, like, oh my god, like what are we gonna do? But so they're in the bathroom, and he's kind of going, Ashley's like going along with it. He's like,
even when Lars walked in and he did the whole thing where like he kissed her, so it didn't look suspicious. Like he played it so well and manipulated her.
So good.
It was, oh gosh.
And then she goes outside. He's like, okay, you're gonna go out, like the plan is I have this rock, this piece of like cement that I like found, like this granite. You're gonna smash this over his head, and I'm gonna go lure him out.
That's where it all went wrong. As soon as he was like that wasn't working, that whole plan.
She's like out,
and then they were talking. It was like, well, there you go.
Oh my god! But it was so scary because she was already outside, and it didn't hit her until she was outside, and then she turned around and she saw Ashley with like her piece of like her only weapon.
Before that though, when she ends up like figuring out that like finding out it was Lars, and she's hiding in the truck.
Yes.
And that's when she has the first encounter with the little girl, and she's getting information, and you see just how messed up this little girl is after all of this, and it's just so like sad and scary.
It's terrifying. Yeah, when she was in the van with him in the beginning of it, I was shocked that we figured out right away that it was him, because I thought that was going to be like the big reveal.
No.
But no, this was like really early in the book. You find out right away like who it is.
I feel like it's better that we found out right away, because it's that like scary feeling of like she knows who it is, and she's watching this person, and she has to make sure that this person doesn't catch wind of what she knows, because then all of a sudden she's a target. So I feel like it was like more was at stake, and it was more like just very, very terrifying.
It was terrifying in general, and then it got even more terrifying when you find out that it was two of them. So now she's stuck at this rest stop with two of these men who are kidnapping this little girl. And I mean, it's brutal. Like, this kid's in really bad condition, and she's got like tape over her mouth, and she's like really skinny, and she's literally in a dog crate, and she's like only like 7 years old, like really young. And you know, Darby's really strong character. She kind of takes it on herself. Like, she's very brave, like very like wow, what a Gryffindor. Like, she was like, no, like, I need to save this little girl. And she like doesn't think twice, because she could have taken the easy way out and just kept her mouth shut. But you can't do that when you see something like that. You just can't. And
I also like how much depth Darby had, because she's described as a character who has not made the best choices in her life. Not really what you would describe as a good person. She didn't have a good relationship with her mom. Her mom was dying, and she wasn't able to like fix that either, because by the time like like her mom was already like had passed away like in the middle of all of this happening, and she didn't get to fix that relationship. So she's made a lot of mistakes. So I think that she felt like this was her way of like redeeming like all of the not so great things that she did in her life. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I loved that, because it really brought like a redemption arc to her character, because she's really like not the most likable character at first, and then you really root for her, and you're like watching her go through this, and you're like right there with her trying to figure out this whole situation.
You also have to think too, like I wonder how many people, if this situation was happening to them, if they wouldn't do anything about it in that moment, if they would just like turn the other way and then call the cops like when they were driving out of there the next morning or something. But like she steps into action like right away.
Yeah,
like
she was like, no, I'm
get her out of that truck.
Yeah, and it's so intense. And then at one point when she is talking with the little girl that's in there, she gives her like a bullet and is like, he has a gun, like just so you know. So now we also know, like, oh my god, he has a gun. Obviously he has a gun with him, and she doesn't have like any weapons at first. Like
she has her knife, and
she has like a little pocket knife, and
hey, that knife comes in handy later.
really did. Even that bullet that she like held on to like all night. But yeah, like I love that like all like the little pieces like fit in, and all of these things just kept going wrong. She's trying to like text 911, trying to call 911, nothing's going through, nothing's happening. And you guys, this book was so terrifying. And then the big reveal at the end when you find out that Sandy was a part of it. She was the bus driver for this
That was the scariest thing, when the kid was like, I know her.
She said
she looks like my bus driver.
No,
it's just like,
she gives a note to Darby.
Yeah,
like, Darby thinks
she said don't trust her, because at that point, like everybody, like at that point, Ed and Sandy knew what was going on, because that was the whole thing where she ended up giving the little girl a knife, and she ends up getting lost, and she ends up back over there. That was insane, because we're like having a chase in the middle of the woods to find this little girl, because she's lost, and it's like she's gonna die anyway.
And then Darby's like held at gunpoint.
She's being like, yeah, she's trying to run back to the rest stop, and the little girl is there. Like she made it back over there. She didn't go to the woods, which was good. But so at that point, Sandy and Ed like already knew.
They knew the situation at that point.
And Sandy is interesting because she agreed to all of this. But she agreed to, like, oh, we're just going to hold this little girl for a few hours until we get money from the parents.
She wanted money.
And she wanted to get a cut of that money. So, like, she didn't sign up for this. But at the same time, like, that is still horrible.
Guilty by association.
Yeah, like, you are still involved, and you are, like, how do you ever agree to something like that?
Yeah, but when Darby got that note, don't trust them, I was literally like, are you kidding me? I thought we were, like, safe. I thought we were all together.
My heart, like, sunk. I was like, oh, no.
And then
who's involved now?
Then, at one point, they do get away. Like, Darby and the kid, they do get away. And then when they get away,
the worst was in the text message.
It goes
so it ends up with, like, the rest stops, like there's like 2 different rest stops that have similar names.
Yeah.
And she got the rest stops mixed up because the map was like, it was something with the map in the beginning where she like, it was like before she knew the right name for it. And she ended up sending the police to the wrong rest stop. And you don't find out that until that moment where it's like, you find out that the police aren't coming, because she keeps saying like, okay, the police should be coming in 5 minutes. I only have to hold on for 5 minutes. And then it's like they're 3 minutes late. And you find out.
And then she looks at the map behind Ashley, and then her heart like just sinks. And you're going back and forth at this point, because like you're kind of briefly in like the cop's point of view, and you're like reading this, and the cop is like, he's approaching the door, and then you go back to Darby where like the realization. That is the moment where I was ready to throw my Kindle. I was so like,
yeah, I was like, she's gonna die.
Done. I was like, we're done.
I was like, she's gonna die. How is she gonna get out of this? I'm like, she's gonna die for this little girl.
I'm like, this kid's gonna hide somewhere. And then, you know, she just finds out, like, when she's looking for the kid, she finds out when she's like held at gunpoint with Ashley that her mom died.
Yeah.
And it's just
insane. There's a lot of gruesome parts in this book too.
So,
like,
oh my god,
whole
the
part
finger.
with like her hand getting stuck.
Oh my god, with her finger, and then the fucking nail gun.
Yeah, like that whole idea of like, oh, I'm gonna get a yellow, I'm gonna get a red, and like he ends up like using the nail gun and like on Ed's like
it's pretty gory, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely gory. So if you I feel like you wouldn't be able to read this if you were like squeamish.
Yeah, there's especially like the end, you really have that moment where all hope is lost. Like I literally kept saying, I'm like, I don't know how she's getting out of this. Like I'm like, she's gonna die. Like there's no way. Like how do you get out of this kind of a situation? I think like at the end, like the reveal that it was about sex. Like it was like they were technically like sex trafficking this little girl, and I think it's such a issue that is not talked about enough, like sex trafficking in general, and it is such a terrible, sick, awful thing that goes on, like human trafficking. But
it's a real problem in the world. It's a real problem. And it's definitely not talked about a lot, and you don't see it a lot in the media. You don't you don't see it on the news ever. Like it does happen, but nobody really talks about it. So to see it being displayed in a book where you could really see the dangers of it,
it's important.
It is important.
It's important. Like, but I also really liked at one point in the book, you do get into Ashley's head, and you kind of see what led him to this moment, and like kind of a little bit of a life that he grew up in. And like obviously you don't sympathize with this creep or anything like that.
No, but I feel like
it's interesting.
It's interesting that the author made us understand him. Yeah. Even though his mindset is psycho and there's no way to mind around it, they still try.
But it's just interesting to have that backstory, and to be briefly how, even though it was brief, like when you're in the mind of such a psychotic person, it's just really, I don't know, something like fascinating. I don't know what this is about us, but like I think as like a literature major, as a reader, writer, like it's just really interesting to think like the characterization, like the author like really went in depth to like every single character, had like this backstory and like this past, like every single one, even Lars a little bit, like
I feel like to do that in such an action-packed, like thriller, fast-paced book, that's impressive. Like it was very, very impressive. Like, wow.
Yeah, and yeah, the ending of this book, like I thought she died because she gets shot by the fucking cop. Oh my god, when the cop shot her because she was using that one bullet.
After all this.
The cop, like, really, because it looked like she was ready to kill Ashley. Like, we were done. Like, the place went on fire, and she went out the window. Like, that window came in really big handy. That window in the restroom,
in the men's room, the window that she kept going in and out of. Oh, jeez.
Oh my god.
But yeah, the ending was insane. Like I feel like the whole thing is like crazy fast-paced like action, but definitely the ending, like one thing after the other, like it just escalates, and it
I thought she was dead.
Once like they're on the run, it's like, oh my god.
I thought she was dead, like reading the epilogue.
No, and it scares you too, because it's like they're talking about like the mother, and you think that they're talking about her.
Yeah, because she's at
the grave, and you like
because you're in the little girl's mind.
It does trick you for a second, and I was like, after all this, she died. Like no. And then I was like, oh thank God, like she lived. So.
Yeah, it was so good, but like that was such great writing. Like I literally had to read the epilogue twice to make sure, but like
yeah, because you finished first. I texted you. I was like, please tell me she's alive.
I'm like, no, I read it again. She's fine. She lived, but wow, like
that was the scariest, craziest book I've probably ever read.
If you guys have any books that are similar to this, please let us know, because I really like these books that kind of take place in 24 hours that are like insane, apparently. Like I don't know, it was so good. Like I think I really want to read more like thriller horror types books. Like maybe we'll finally try Stephen King. Like I know that's like a huge author.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't tried.
I've always been so like intimidated by him for some reason, but like I feel like we'll probably enjoy his books. Like I don't know. I don't know. We had a really great time reading this, and yeah, I hope that all of you who watched to this point of the video have actually read the book, because if not, then I am so sorry we just spoiled the entire thing for you. But yeah, definitely check out all the links down below, and send us some recommendations for more book videos to read. Let us know what book videos that you guys would like. We have like a wintry book video that is probably up or is going up, but yeah,
let us know what you'd like to see, and check out the links down below.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.